let's move on to the linebackers. So last week, not as good. But I mean, a bit of a mixed bag. I think we had our bright spots, we had our low spots. Start off with Tony Fields. I was trying to call the Browns linebackers, and that's a much harder thing than it should be this year. Predicting a Browns linebacker split. So that is didn't work out. Tony Fields was fourth in that rotation. Played only 11 snaps, didn't really get it done. But at the same time, JOK did get injured this past week. Expected to miss significant time. Could end his season this late into the year. So maybe, but he was still fourth in that rotation. So probably if you need to drop somebody, you could definitely drop him. I might be interested to just hold him out one more week and see. Otherwise, it could be Jordan Kunziak as that other guy and one other name that we're going to bring up real short. But we also had the Tennessee Titans one to break down. That was a difficult one because Joe Scober got the run last week when Dylan Cole obviously had his role. And remind me, who am I even talking about? David Long. David Long left the game. Joe Scober filled in. But we sat here on this show last week and said Monty Rice was going to be that guy. Monty Rice was that guy. 12 tackles, was number one, number two, and he outsnapped Joe Scober and had a TFL on top of that. It was a very good day for Monty Rice. You could consider him a pickup in this bunch as well. A very important pickup, honestly. So
Scober got dropped after the game. I'm not sure if you saw that, so that kind
I
of
did not.
solidifies a little bit there.
I did not see that, but that doesn't surprise me at all because he's not that good. But Monty Rice at least is going to be that guy going forward. And I think I don't know if I speak for you as well, Axton, but he would probably be our number one name on this bunch today. We're not talking about him because we talked about him last week, but Monty Rice of the Tennessee Titans, still very important to pick up. And the other name we threw out there was Chad Muma, who did not come back from his injury. The ankle injury picked up at the end of that Week 13 game. So he did not play this past week. Hopefully he's back on the field. Going to be a little bit hard to trust him in the first game back, especially since Devin Lloyd stepped out. You know, that game. They obviously do want Devin Lloyd to be that guy, given the first round investment they gave him. But let's move on to this week. This week we have Deion Jones. I think it's a pretty safe one to say. Deion Jones, Browns linebacker, has been up and down the rotation all year long, but with JOK out, with Jacob Phillips out, with Anthony Walker out, and with JOK out, and with, I might have said that already twice, and some other name, and Sion Takitaki out, eventually Deion Jones is going to get the run, and he did get the run this past week. He played 89% of snaps. That's the role that I can't imagine, as unpredictable as this group has been, I can't imagine that they just get rid of him, even though he hasn't been that good. They're just running out of bodies. Deion Jones seems like the last guy standing, and he's going to have a high usage role for a role that is productive, albeit very unpredictable.
Yeah, unfortunately, just that process of elimination now at this point, they don't have many other players or names to go in there and compete. And so far, when Deion's gotten the snaps, he's had a decent floor, no less than 5 tackles when he gets, 30 plus snaps. And he's thrown in an 8 tackle game, a 7 tackle game last week, and got an interception. So I think he'll definitely be more than serviceable moving forward. This, like you said, this linebacking core in Cleveland is pretty valuable.
And you have Baltimore
actually get a handle on it.
And you have Baltimore on deck with a possible Anthony Gordon starting under center and a heavy rushing attack with, J.K. Dobbins coming back this past week, Gus Edwards, and again, Anthony Gordon, which means they're going to try to run the ball, which could shape up well for the tackle floor of Deion Jones.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Said it best. Next name we got on here is Josh. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uche? Is that how it's
Josh Uche.
Okay.
I live with Patriot fans up here, so I hear his name quite often.
There you go. Yeah. Obviously for New England Patriots, last 3 weeks, he's kind of had an up and down role throughout the season, but starting week 12, not even starting then. As of the last 7 weeks,
really, or
even this last 7 weeks, he started getting sacks, and when he started getting sacks, he's now starting to get more snaps, and it's really resulting in quite a run he's been on since week 8. Just the last 3 weeks, for example, he's got 6 sacks, forced fumble, and on top of all that, 13 tackles. So uh, that snap count is increasing. So he's definitely going to be in there and be more involved. They like to rotate their linebacker really all over the defense, but if they can find somebody that can stick, they will stick with him. So Josh Uche, I would ride the wave, ride the wave until it ends, till there's nothing left. This next week wouldn't quite be a favorable matchup had Kyler Murray been in there, but unfortunately he did go down with the non-contact ACL tear last night. So Colt McCoy will be heading the quarterback position for Arizona, and this ought to be a decent little matchup for Josh Uche to continue this nice little streak he's got going.
I was having a conversation with Patriot fans last night about what makes this season a success. Like what would have to happen, and they pessimistically said pretty much nothing would have to happen. They'd have to win playoff games and things like that. But Josh Uche and Matt Judon and this defensive line and this defensive secondary with the young corners they have been so impressive this year. And Uche's the stat that I saw on that broadcast last night, he's led the league in pressures this year in terms of pressure rate. And again, he's not playing that much, but when he's out there, he's getting to the quarterback, and we've seen that through the stats and through the sacks. Like you said, saw the jump in snaps, played a season high 64% last night against Arizona. He has 5 tackles or more in 3 of his last 4 games. 3 of his last 5 games. He did have a dud against the Jets, which I'm sure left a bad taste in some people's mouths. But I do think the snaps have really been there now for Uche, and I do trust him. And I think we said I think I wrote something wrong in the on the doc for you to mention Kyler Murray there. I definitely did, but the Raiders are on deck, which is a little bit of a scary matchup because it's a scary matchup because of how much they run the ball up the middle and how Derek Carr gets the ball out of his hands. And honestly, press protection hasn't been that bad in Vegas, but I do think I want to ride the hot hand, like you said, Axton, and I do think the matchup after that, Cincinnati, is a much better one for them to correct me if I'm wrong. If it was Cincinnati, after it is, and that's a much better matchup for defensive ends like Uche to really step up. And while we're talking about him as a linebacker, I'd obviously much prefer to play him as defensive lineman if your format allows it. I'm willing to take the chance as a linebacker. I think he's shown enough upside for me to swing for the fences. And I normally like a higher tackle floor, but ride it, man. He's just been that productive.
Yeah. Another one we just wanted to mention before we move on to defensive backs was Jalen Smith. He peaked out a little bit today or this last week and just kind of reminded us that he is worthy of consideration for a spot on your roster. I think this last week he got like 7 tackles.
Yep, I believe that's the number.
That's correct. Oh, 9 tackles.
9. Was it 7 solo? It was something.
7 solo tackles.
7
yeah,
solo.
So 7 solo tackles, 9 tackles total, flirting with that double-digit number. If he's available and you need a linebacker, definitely somebody that's going to be playing a lot of snaps and proven productive. So if he's out there, don't be afraid to snatch him up.
Yep, completely agree. I think it's someone that I want to bring up because we brought him up in the show numerous times. And sometimes, I think one of the times we did, he had a dud the week after. And this is par for the course. Also, Micah McFadden also got hurt in this past game. Hopefully he's okay, but that does greatly increase the floor for Jalen Smith because Micah McFadden was a pretty solid player that was kind of rising as a rookie in that system. But Jalen Smith is now that guy and will have to be going forward.